I think America is still a great country, but I think America has to wake up and own the things that happened in the past.
So business is booming, huh?
Business is good. I got to tell you that, it's blessings to God for what's happened here. Even amid COVID, we changed the business model a little bit,
Sure.
where we decided to do deliveries and things like that. We delivered a lot of cigars way outside of the area. We were delivering back to Nolensville, Mount Juliet, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and then
That's out of Nashville, man.
dude, seriously. And then our normal customers came here. We opened up the porch so we can social distance on the porch and the lawn. And I tell you, man, it makes me tear up. Excuse me, to tell you how good business is doing and how the people here in Columbia have responded to us.
Yeah, Columbia is one of those last, to me at least, it's almost like one of those last uncorrupted sides of Middle Tennessee, just because, you look at Nolensville, Spring Hill, Franklin, it's all become, and it's not bad that there's transplants by any means, because I'm technically a transplant from Kansas, but the culture of Nashville has changed so much that you go into an area where it has money or has the means to start acquiring money, and then you can just start changing it because people with money come in and go, yeah, well, let's do it. Like Californians like yourself coming in. So it's like Columbia still has the authentic Columbia. It still has the local family-owned restaurants. It still has like the small-time cigar. It's not a big chain cigar or one that has just a bunch of money backing it where it's going to become like a national staple. It's just like everything here just feels authentic. So it's no surprise that the people rally behind like a local cigar place here.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% true. Coming from the big city initially, Chicago, and living in places like San Francisco, you just don't get what you get here. It's tough for any business to survive in this current economic climate.
Yeah.
In any climate, it's just tough for small businesses. I mean, if you look at how many close, months or 6 months or so after they've opened, that number keeps climbing. But I think in Columbia has a challenge, though, right? So as everything continues to get built out, Columbia is just in that right area. It's got the right infrastructure on the roads. It's close to the highway.
Yeah.
Property used to be cheap, but now it's kind of skyrocketing right now too. But the people that seem to be moving here, because Franklin is built out, Spring Hill, Thompson Station, that's built out, so it keeps coming south. The danger of that is those transplants who don't really appreciate and know the local culture. There is a possibility of them ruining what we have here.
Right.
Now, the flip side of that is Columbia has a challenge to try to maintain the small town charm and welcome people in that don't try to change what's going on here.
Right.
People that want to enhance it. And I've seen that from a lot of my customers that come into Battleground here. We've got people that come in, and I'm telling you, it's almost weekly. We get new folks in here that just bought property here.
Wow.
And the reason they come here is because they like the small town charm. They don't want to be around the chain restaurants. They don't want to be around this. They don't want to be around that. So that's a good thing that we have going. But then you have those other people that come in and they buy up, 15,000 acres of property, and they try to get their New York attitudes in here and so on and so forth. And it's funny, we get those people in here. We politely tell them, you're in Columbia, son. Let's kind of keep it that way.
Yeah.
But there's going to be that challenge here as Columbia continues to grow.
So how did you get into real estate, since we're kind of talking about it?
Well, money. Right, trying to. Hey, it's just
cash talks, man.
Money. That's right. I had to supplement my retirement income, and I think I saw the opportunity when I lived in Thompson Station to be able to because it was so inexpensive as opposed to any place else I've ever lived, to be able to buy houses and hang on to them and be able to afford them and getting a good quality renter in your properties. And so, in California, where you buy a place like, this, that will be probably $2 million, but you can buy it here for hypothetically $200. Well, now you can buy 5 of them, right?
Right.
And then kind of keep supplementing your income as you go and kind of start build wealth based on real estate. I saw that realistically, out of every now you can play the stock market. It's a lot risky. You can buy a bunch of commercial properties, but you have to have renters in those commercial properties at times like this, where it's tough to do business. It is what it is. But owning residential property, because people always need a place to live, right? So my daddy always told me, he goes, boy, don't you ever own nothing that you wouldn't live in, right? So we started buying property, and fixing them up to a place that we would like to live in and putting good quality renters in it. And it's still a process. You've got to vet these people out because, on the surface, you're like, man, look at that guy. He's got on a Rolex. He's driving a Maserati. And he's got on a pair of 40 shoes, but ain't got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of, So you have to kind of qualify these people, and we've been lucky about qualifying our renters. And so real estate, I think, is still the number one area or market to build wealth. As long as you have money to put in it, you can use one to pay for the other. And that one can pay for the next one. And it just seems to be an easier way rather than, hey, I'm gonna put $200,000 in the stock market. Yeah, stock market tanks.
With 40% of it. Yeah, right
exactly.
Top,
and now you're starting back over from square one. It doesn't happen like that in real estate. The only thing that may happen in real estate is that the rental rates may change. Excuse me, but I haven't seen any market in Tennessee yet, or anywhere for that matter, unless you live in Detroit, where you can buy blocks for $1. You know?
No kidding.
Sorry, you have listeners in Detroit?
I don't think yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if they trace us back 2 years from now. If when Eminem's listening, and Royce.
Yeah. But where real estate is actually taking a decline on the rental side. So you can still, even if you bought a house for, let's say, $70,000 this year, and you rent it out for $1,000. Let's say the market goes down and the house is worth only $50,000. Well, you could still rent that place out for $1,000, right? Right. So the rental rates don't go. Maybe the cost of the property may change, not that drastically, by the way, but it's still money to be made in real estate.
That's smart. I also saw on Instagram the other day, you restored or are restoring. Is that a Cadillac? Mm-hmm. Man, it seems like you do it all.
That's right, baby. Yeah. 1977 Caddy Coupe de Ville.
Oh man,
that car actually belonged to my dad.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's his car.
That's his car, yeah. Well, no, it's my car now. Yeah. But I have actually been trying to get that car from him for the last 20 years maybe.
Oh, no kidding.
15, 20 years, yeah. And so finally, he called me one day, and this is a car that he bought in October of 1976. Okay. It was, I think, if you look back at the VIN, it was one of the first 300 Cadillacs that came out because they changed the body style that year.
Okay.
The energy crisis came. They made the cars a little bit shorter, put a little plastic in them or whatever. So he called me one day out of the blue. He goes, son, what are you doing? I says, Pops, you know what I'm doing. I'm probably drinking or smoking. Which one of those two? He goes, I need you to come up here and get this car out of my garage.
Now, are they in Illinois?
Yeah, he's in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in Chicago. And I said, I'm sorry? He goes, come get this car out of my garage. So, needless to say, my shoes went on, I brushed my teeth, and I jumped in the Audi, and I was up there in 10 minutes, before he changed his mind. And I said, Dad, are you sure you want to give this car up? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I know you're going to take care of it. And he goes, just don't be going to put all those big wheels on my car and, all that. I said, Pops, the only thing I'm going to change in this car, quite honestly, is to put a sound system in it.
I knew you were going to say it.
That's right. And so anyway, it was really kind of bittersweet because that car my dad bought in 76 so that he would have a nice car to go up and down the road to visit his mother and my mom's mother in Louisiana and Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
And so he wanted, back then you weren't flying anywhere, you were just taken to the road. So so that's why he bought that car. When his when his mother passed away, he parked the car.
Really?
And then just never drove it. So the car was sat in the garage for about 20 years.
Uh-huh.
And it makes me a little bit emotional because I remember when I went to get the car, and my mom was sitting in the garage as we were prepping it to go.
Man.
And my mom's looking at me, and she starts crying. She goes, "Yeah, this is the car that I went to see my mother in, and this, that, and the other. Now it's gone." And I was like, "Well, it's not totally gone,
At least you have it.
Yeah,
you know?
I said I plan on coming to see my mother in it,
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those days where I couldn't believe that I had it. So I brought it here. We're in the process of doing. It's about 90%, 95% ready to go.
That's awesome.
And it's been a lot of work. It's been a money pit, but the car is 43 years old. So what do you expect? Clean as anything. Always garage kept. So yeah, it's about 90% there now, and I roll in it every once in a while. But
Really?
I would have driven it today, but a little hot outside, and the air conditioner's not exactly blowing so cold.
That's still that 10% you got to work on.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I've done the car with no AC, man.
It's not fun.
And it makes you want to live up in like in Alaska or something. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't need AC, that's awesome. I had no idea you were doing it. I always saw the Audi, and then it's cool because you got the new foreign, but then you have the old domestic, man.
Yeah.
And they don't make cars like they used to. They really don't.
I tell you what, man, that car, it just there's just something really good about it. It's like this whole house. It's got great bones, and the car actually has really good bones to it. And you hit a bump, and the car looks back at you and said, "Dude, whatever, that ain't a bump. Come on, let's get some more."
Yeah.
And and I just remember as a kid sitting in the back seat, as we were going up and down the road, and it's just so comfortable. And there's just nothing unless you're spending like a lot of money for a Maybach or something that to me that has that feel anymore. So,
Right.
Yeah, but it's a good car, man. I
Right,
love
so
it.
you've completed the whole image here. I'm thinking of the jazz and the blues and the bourbon and the cigars, and you're pulling in a Cadillac. Dude, it's nighttime. The lights are twinkling off of the reflections off the windows, man.
Listen to you.
I'm just picturing it all right now. I mean, that'll get you going right there, man. So
That's awesome.
So how do you picture just like America now versus the America you knew growing up, whether it be Chicago, your time in the military, just like the sense of pride and just the way you picture the country, man? Since we're talking old versus new.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I look at it. I gotta tell you, in most cases, I try to avoid that question.
Really?
Because it pisses me off a little bit. I think that everything has its limits and its time. Even milk has an expiration date.
Sure.
So some of the things that have happened as of late, I'm kind of torn with. I think America is still a great country, but I think America has to wake up and own the things that happened in the past. So a lot of people say, let's be candid about it. So a lot of people will say, look, why are black people so angry? I didn't own any slaves. Why are they taking this out on me? Well, they're not. I don't say that we're taking anything out on anyone as an individual. We're looking at everything as a whole. The discrimination, number one, the abuse by police officers. For nothing, I only see what's on the videos.
Right.
I don't necessarily know the backstory to a lot of these, but I see the ending of it.
Right.
And I see that, innocent people being killed, innocent blacks being killed, that are unarmed, all these different nuances. And so I think America is going through a change, and I think it's a necessary change. It happened back in the suffragette movement, when women had the right to vote.
Right.
But people don't really realize, and, when I kind of school some of my customers or whatever, said, look, black people just got the right to vote back in the 60s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, which means that we were treated as, less than equal for a long time. And now, people say that you have this opportunity for this, that, and the other, but let's just put it in perspective. In a country of 400 million people, 300 million
like
people,
330 or something. Yeah.
Black folk only comprise of 12% of the population.
Yeah.
And I don't care what country you're in or what situation you're in. When you're the minority, you'll always be the minority. So the minority have to have a voice. Simple as that. And I think what this movement is doing is helping us reach out and gather that voice that we have never had. I think some white folks and some maybe black folks, they may say, hey, man, just leave well enough alone. Well, it's not well enough. You know, and when you look at the disparities on the financial side, income side, employment, as I mentioned to you before, when I was at Air Force, I was like the only black there. I was a flying buttermilk. So we didn't get into the nuances of what I dealt with, you know, at Air Force, being called a nigger and all these different things, you know.
You got called that at Air Force or just in life?
Oh, at Air Force.
Oh, wow.
You know. And it was funny. I had to go there before I got called one. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I have reached an eclipse, you know.
Yeah. Mom, Dad, I made it.
I've been called a nigger. But from a standpoint of what's happening today, I think it's a necessary evil. Now, what I don't agree with is the destruction of property, the things that happened back in my neighborhood back in Chicago, where you have an area called Roseland, and the blacks rioted in Roseland and broke into the pharmacies, the grocery stores. You know, Chicago shut down. They shut down the Chicago Transit Authority. The public transportation went through that area, and all the black folks that lived in that area depended on those stores, you know, for their sustenance and for their daily goods. And what I don't understand is that we go in and we destroy the very thing that was there to help us. Yeah. And now the people that destroyed it, they don't have any place to go, you know. And so if you don't have any public transportation, or if there is no if you don't have a car or anything to go anyplace else, then what have you done? Now you can't get to your Similac. You know, the girl can't, you know, mom or dad can't get to the store to buy the Similac, can't go to buy the diapers. Your grandmother can't get her medication that she usually goes to that pharmacy to get. You've destroyed all of that. So all that stuff I don't agree with. And I struggle. I tell you, just yesterday, I struggle with that whole idea of how we've gotten to the place that we are. And some people will tell me that, hey, man, America is full of land, is the land of hope and opportunity. Well, it sure is. But the opportunity is not, the people that made that slogan were part of the majority.
Right.
They were not part of the minority. And when you're part of the when you're part of the minority, then that slogan means a little bit of difference. So, and so I guess, I mean, that's an answer to your question. I think we're still the greatest country on earth, but we need to prove it. I think a lot of the rhetoric that comes out, the tweets and things like that, and I'll tell you, if I'm going too long, just tell me. But
no, go ahead.
I tell you that when I served in the military, one of the things that I served was that flag.
Right.
And respect for the office of president. You know, I've served under 4 presidents, or 3.5, 4 presidents, whatever, and respected the office every time. Every time our president says we need to do this and the orders came down, I was happy. You salute, go out, and you do your thing. Now it's different. You know, it goes back to what I was saying before. Now you get to the point of, well, I guess I'll respect the office, but not the person in office, right? As before, when you had the Peter Principle in the Air Force, where you got people promoted, you know what, I'll respect the rank, but I'm not going to respect the person in the rank. So I think that's where we are today. It's really sad that a country as great as we have, or great as has been, and I think too many people pay attention to economics. Right? Economics, yes, we need that to survive. We need that to pay our bills. We need all that. When somebody tells me that, you know, you don't like the president, look at the financial situation you're in. Look at your 401k. Well, there's more than finances that I live on.
Sure.
I don't care if my finances increase 1% a year as opposed to 10% a year, as long as my country is in good shape.
Yeah.
At least it's going in the right direction. I don't need that big jump and come back and say, well, yeah, my 401k is great, but the rest of the country is in shambles.
Right.
I live in Franklin, and my wife and I talk about this, and it's kind of shallow, but it even me, at 56 years old after serving, for so many years in combat and got every gun a man can ever think of.
Nice.
Don't take away my guns.
Oh, but no shot, man. Let's go.
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah. And so, but I'm like sometimes afraid to walk down my street in Franklin. We don't have sidewalks, so we have to walk in the street. And I'm thinking, man, if I walk down the street and somebody comes up, is it some angry white dude who's pissed off at what's going on down the street going to pull over and run into me or something, So it's really weird, man. It's a weird time, and I've never had that feeling before. I felt safer walking in the streets of frickin' Baghdad,
Really?
than I do walking in Franklin. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean.
Right. The principle.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about something like, especially not just because you're black, but as someone who served and protected the flag? Because I haven't, but I get pretty riled up. I remember one time, just quick story, when I was in Rwanda for a mission trip, and it's one I always return to the story. It was one of our last days there, and we'd gone by to the American embassy, which just a total flex here. America has by far the best looking embassy on this whole row of, just dozens of countries, and here's just this palace and this roundabout up on a hill, and it's like marble and glass and all the great vegetation. And there's the American flag, and we're walking around and we're looking, can't get in. It was like a Saturday or something. And a guard who, I don't know if he's Rwandan, he's African, because a lot of people in Rwanda come from a lot of neighboring countries. And they're he's kind of like tailing us, because there's a group of us, and we're walking around the embassy. He's security. I don't think anything of it. Talking about the liberties we have compared to other countries, I'm taking a picture. There's a beautiful shot through the fence here with the flag flying over the fence, the embassy in the background, the palm trees, all the other vegetation around it. And he starts laying into me about taking a picture. I can't take a picture. What do you mean? He's like, no photography allowed. And they're real strict over there with stuff with the government. You can't film certain things, take pictures of certain areas, can't post certain things on social media. And they're one of the most progressive countries, and by far the most developed in Africa. So you're already seeing there's still some of those tendencies. And he starts laying into me about how I'm not allowed to take a picture of the American flag. And I about climbed that fence because I'm thinking, dude, that's my flag, man. By the grace of God, I was born in America, and I have family members that have fought for it. I have friends that are in the military. And you think, dude, that is my flag. You can't tell me not to take a picture of my flag, which, of course, I could have been being kind of selfish with it. But at the same time, I think, okay, we don't have that problem in America where we're suppressed like that. But at the same time, there is, to me, and I would say, especially if you serve, there's this reverence that is married to the flag like that. And I think, okay, as a person who has served, how do you view not just the national anthem protest, but just the outlook on America and what the flag symbolizes, and the 4th of July and just stuff like that? How do you feel as a former military and as a black man?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I like your reference to the flag as a sign of reverence. And number one, that's the only flag I've ever known. That's the only flag I've ever lived under. When I was in grade school, I can remember we would stand up and do a pledge allegiance to the flag. And but then there were other kids that I think if you're a Jehovah's Witness or something, they didn't stand up, they didn't do the flag or whatever. And in the school, and Kenneth Scott and Kenneth White, two Kenneths that I remember, they never had to get up, and I was like, how can they get up and I can't? I gotta stand up. But anyway, it means to me because every battle that I fought was fought under the flag. Number one, every uniform that we wore had a symbol of the flag.
Yeah.
Every backpack that I carried, every war that I fought was fought under the name or under the guidance of the flag and the pledge of the flag. So it's kind of like someone asked me, what did I think about kneeling to the flag or kneeling when the national anthem is played? And at first, I got to be honest with you, I was mad as hell. I was like, how dare you? So we only knelt to a flag with a fallen soldier. That's the only time that we actually knelt around the flag. When this whole thing happened with Colin Kaepernick, I didn't really understand it all. I didn't know, excuse me, I didn't really know what he was doing. I heard about this, that, and the other, but I just wasn't following it that close, because I don't watch the news. I don't care,
Yeah.
But when I started looking into it, I realized that what he did wasn't that god awful wrong.
Right.
That was his sign of protest, so to speak, that I don't have to stand for something, which is what this country's all about.
Right.
I mean, you have certain inalienable rights that allow you to do that allow you to protest that way.
Sure.
Did I like it at first? No. Do I think it was disrespect to the flag? I thought so then. But then when I started looking at it, I said, well, no, it's not disrespect. That is his way of protesting.
Sure.
And I don't know what amendment that is that gives us the right to do that. I'm not a scholar, a historian by any means. But I can tell you that I ended up not really having a problem with it. What I do have a problem with is burning the flag, disrespecting the flag in that kind of way. And then also, I told a guy the other day who had asked me about that, I said, well, if he had turned his back to the flag, that's where I would have really had an issue.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that, He sat in silence and solidarity with what he was thinking. And as a result, as you can see now, everybody's doing it.
Right.
So, and when I say everybody, we've got soccer teams, got baseball teams, you've got all these different sports teams now doing it.
Yeah.
So, is it wrong? No, because it's all for a common cause.
Right.
So, yeah, I absolutely positively had an issue with it at first, but as I looked into it and became a little bit more educated on the cause, I don't have an issue with it. Now, I say that to say, if you do it and you do it with a cause, with a peaceful protest, that's fine. But if you do it and I see you dragging my flag down the street, if I see you burning my flag, I see you disrespecting my flag, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things, you mentioned the flag, the first thing I did when I bought this house, if you notice outside, it's an American flag.
Oh, yeah.
That was the very first thing before we put a lick of paint, a piece of furniture, one cigar.
Yeah.
I hung up the flag because that's what it means to me, and I fought for it. I love it. I fight for it again.
Yeah.
Kneeling for it, etc. As I explained, that's your right to do so. Just don't damage my flag.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I'm not even trying to add to it. One thing I have noticed, again, I'm 23 years old. I've only known really one small version of America, but I've seen there's a couple of retirement communities in the area I've gotten to go into this summer working, and the amount of American flags in these 55 and up homes. I mean, whether it's a front entrance or you have carports and alleys down the back where people park. I mean, you can literally look down the street and it's probably 4 out of every 5 houses has an American flag on the front or back or both. Because, I mean, those were the generations it served, whether it was World War II, whether it was Vietnam, just different stuff during the Cold War. And then even people like, I talked to one guy, moved from North Carolina, and he was Army only for 4 years, but he was in Berlin in the 60s, right? We're middle of Cold War here, outside of Korea. And they were there when the wall was built. And he's telling me about some of the stuff there. And just, it's like the outlook on America and American ideals, just the way that I've seen it change since I've been alive, but a lot of that comes from, I see what it used to be. And it was people of all colors and all backgrounds. And a lot of these people that I've talked to, a lot of people we see now, a lot of them came from immigrants in like the 1890s to 1940s. Like my mom's side of the family came from Germany in the 40s, fleeing the war. That's where most of her side of the family's from, So and then my dad's side, they were like pioneers, and they went out west and had the like over the Continental Divide and stuff like that. So you have these both sides of like, okay, here's what they're trying to build up America to be, and then here's what America was, and they came to like contribute to it. And it's like that's why they respect the flag. That's why they fly the flag, because they helped build it. Yeah. And it's tough seeing people like my generation and younger, like you're saying, where like you have the right to protest. Absolutely. Constitution protects it. I believe in the Constitution for everyone. I do believe that. but it's also like, man, you're not contributing to it at all.
Right.
You're just trying to be a detriment, you know?
Yeah, I to that point, and I appreciate what you said, but to that point, I think that the younger generation, your generation in particular, they haven't studied their history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you'd be amazed on, if you ask someone your age about something in particular. When did World War I happen? When did World War II happen? When was the Vietnam War? When was the Korean War? So on and so forth. And they have no idea. You know, it's almost like it's skipped in high school. It's not studied or whatever. But more importantly, you got to study the ideology of why these wars happened. You have to study the ideology behind the American flag. You have to study the ideology behind the Constitution and each amendment almost. And they don't do that. It just doesn't happen. And look, I'm gonna say my kids are no different. You know, they may because of me, they may be a little bit more versed on some of that stuff because I talk about it all the time to the point where they're like, Dad, really? Okay. We know, all right.
Yeah.
And I'd say, when was Iraqi freedom? You know, and so on and so forth. And like, well, okay, you got a shirt with it on, Dad. Let's look at it. Just turn around, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a lot to do with our education system. It's a lot to do with the values because even there's a lot of people my age in their 50s that don't teach that stuff to their kids. It's like, okay, so whatever they learn today is what they learn today. You know, but there's a select few of young folks that really understand these ideologies. And when they get to understand that, then I think their values will change. And I think that's what's happening to America now is that there's not a lot of people like you that are role models for people like that, for people your age. They may look at, also, there he goes again, talking about that. But it's important to talk about.
Right.
And when we don't talk about it, we lose it. And when you lose it, it's gone.
Right.
You know, simple as that. It's like smoking a cigar. I'm halfway through it. You know, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, when it's gone, it's gone. I got to get another one. But that's we just don't pay enough attention to it. So as far as the direction that America's going, I think America will continue to strive because it is America. You know, at the end of the day, I think because there are still enough people in this country that care about this country, that care about our flag, that care about our place in the world, care about our status, care about the freedoms that we have here, and let's just call it honest. You know, a lot of these countries have built their freedoms based on what we've done. I mean, we are probably the most mimicked country in the world.
Sure.
You know, when I go over to these different countries and I see a freaking McDonald's. You know, or I see, dude, seriously, you know, I'm walking down the street of Angola and I see a McDonald's in Angola. How does a McDonald's get in Angola? Yeah. You know, again, it's, I apologize. You have to edit that out, but, and I
I'll cut it in two, make the latter half explicit. We'll see.
No, I mean, I get really kind of excited about it because of who we are, what we've done and what we'll continue to do. So I think our outlook is still very strong. But we have a lot of work to do. A lot of work. It's like, you know, it's funny. Real quickly, I had a customer in the other day. It says he's going to China to adopt a baby. Okay, I said that's great. But then I said, dude, what about all the babies that are here that need to be adopted? Man. Yeah. You know, and I said you're spending all this money to go to China to get a child. I'm sure if you necessarily want a Chinese baby, we can find one here. You know, and so I'm using that with the analogy to say, America has to take care of home before we take care of abroad. You know, we got to adopt that baby here before we go to other countries and start adopting babies and bringing them back here. So, that's kind of my outlook. Dude, that's great, man. Just wrapping up here, man. What's next for Julian Griffin? I know we got the shop coming in Nashville, shop and lounge, right? Mm-hmm. And lounge, okay. Yep. I mean, what else would we have? The real estate, we got the car, we got the. Are your kids here? Kids in the area, or are they elsewhere? Seems like you're all over. Yeah. So I have my wife's two kids. That we've been together now since 2007, 2008. They're here. One's in Murfreesboro, and one's in his hopefully senior year at UT. Knox. I say hopefully senior year. He went to 2 years of military school down in Alabama at Marion Military Academy.
Okay.
And then he came back and he went to school in Knoxville. He's trying to finish up there. But it seems like he's on a 30-year program. So what's next is trying to get him done.
I'm right there with him, man.
Trying to get him done. He's a good kid, smart kid. So once we get him done, we'll be fine. And then the other two in Chicago.
Gotcha. Yeah. And y'all plan on just staying here, finishing it out, or just for the time being?
Interesting you say that. My wife and I have been having these conferences between the two of us on where we want to end up. She threw this out. She goes, look, her parents are in their late 70s. My parents are in their 80s. And she goes, well, if you do the math and if we stay healthy, we probably got another 30 or 40 years to live. But, we've been kind of debating whether or not we move to the coast, meaning the East Coast, like the Carolinas, Savannah, somewhere like that. We've been looking at that area. I love it here in Tennessee. If she decides that she wants to stay here, that's fantastic. But it would be nice to live near the water again,
Yeah, that's true, man. There's nothing like it, man.
I know. Those waves crashing in the morning. The flickering candles.
Oh, man. And you get the sunrise on one side of the country. You got the sunset. I remember first time we were in California, man, I watched a sunset. See the sunset all the time. You don't think anything of it, but you're there on the beach. We were at like La Jolla Resort or something like that, eating dinner. And I remember like the sun goes down. You actually just watch it go down. Like you watch this little orange ball just shrivel up and everyone starts clapping. You're like, I guess I've never seen a sunset, man. And you have the ocean, you have the sky all pink and orange and blue. Oh, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the water.
Yeah, it's nice, man. That's one thing. The house that I had was actually outside of San Francisco. This place called Half Moon Bay, and it was right on the ocean. I mean, right on the ocean. And not a house; it was a townhome. But I could open up my patio door. You get that coolness that blew in. The only thing that was cheap was electricity. Okay, because I didn't have to run my air conditioner all day. I kind of missed that. But this time, if we do something, I can't go back to live in California because it's too expensive. And I'm a poor man on a fixed income. So if I do something,
I don't think you're woke enough either, man, for California.
Their views are, look, it is what it is. I mean, they're entitled to what they think or what they believe, and God bless that state.
Yeah.
God bless America.
Well, hopefully you end out east, man.
Yeah.
Nothing like the East Coast, not like America. Anything you want to add? Anything we didn't talk about before we wrap this thing up? Any final thoughts? Anything?
No, man. I think we probably covered a lot. I appreciate you coming up and taking the time. We've been trying to get together now for 6 years.
Yeah. No kidding, dude.
It seems like it's been forever.
I know. I think you said there was 2 ships passing the night.
That's what you said.
Yeah. There was like 4 days in a row last week. It fell through where it was like, okay, I'm in the Nashville area. Like, I'm in Columbia. And it was like, well, I'm going to Columbia tomorrow. I'm back in Nashville, man. And then maybe Friday, had to go to Memphis for a wedding. And it's like, I don't think I'm ever get to see this guy. And I don't know, man. So I'm glad I finally got to work. Glad to come down here and smoke a cigar. I've never actually smoked through a whole cigar on a podcast. It's an
awesome.
hour. It's an hour and a half smoke, man.
You look like a pro, man. Look at you.
I might try to buy the place.
Let's talk.
Yeah, put me on a payment plan or something. Yeah,
that's funny.
Well, cool, man. Thanks again. Thanks for coming on. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Fly, fight, win.
That's right.
Gotta say go Air. Gotta say go Air Force, man.
I appreciate that.
Go America. Okay, how do people keep up with you?
They could follow us, the Cigar Lounge. They can follow us on at Battleground South. Yeah, I'm sorry. Facebook at Battleground South. On Instagram at Battleground Smokes and Spirits.
Smokes and Spirits, okay.
Yeah, and on Twitter at BG South.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tag you on Instagram if I'll have to follow the Twitter one, but I'll put this up on Facebook, Instagram when it's edited. I got a lot of editing to do with you, man.
I'm sorry,
so,
man.
Now you're good.
Listen, I learned how to swear from my dad and my uncles. They had 8 uncles that would come by, and they would work on cars and everything else, and there was stuff going on. And
words were flying, man.
Listen, man, I learned. I think I taught my teachers to swear in grade school.
He's not great at reading, but he's really good at swearing. Yeah.
That's funny. That's about true, But yeah, no, I thank you again, man. You know, if we can ever do it again, let's do it
Oh,
again.
dude,
But,
absolutely, man.
I look forward to seeing you again, and I appreciate you coming out to spend some time with me.
Absolutely. That was Julian Griffin, Battleground South Cigar Lounge. Is that what it's called?
That's it.
Battleground South Cigar Lounge, Columbia, Tennessee. Soon, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep.
Going to have Battleground North Cigar Lounge.
That's it.
And we'll keep you posted with that. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was long, but it was a good one. I'm Isaac Weston. That was Julian Griffin. We will see you on the other side.